Today we're going to begin working with circles. In front of you, you should have a foldable that has 4 different tabs. On the front of the first tab, write the word radius. You may or may not know this word in the different parts of a circle. Once you have the word radius written on the outside, open up the foldable tab and write and draw this example. So a radius is a line segment that extends from the center of a circle to its perimeter, or to the outside. Pause the video to give you enough time to write this definition and drawing down. On the outside of the second tab, go ahead and write the word diameter. A diameter is a line segment that goes through the center of the circle and whose endpoints lie on the circle. So now open up the diameter tab and write down the definition and the drawing. So the difference between a diameter and a radius is that the diameter goes completely through the center from one side of the circle to the other. A diameter can go any direction as well as a radius as long as it goes through the center. So this right here is a diameter because it touches both ends of the circle and goes through the center. Same as this red diameter. It goes through the center and it touches both ends of the circle. On the third tab, write the word circumference. Once you have that written, go ahead and open up that tab. And in the top part, you're going to write the definition, which is the distance around the circle. So in the top part of your tab, when you open it, we're going to write the definition and draw the picture up here. So again, the circumference is just the distance completely around the circle. The last tab on the right, we're going to leave blank right now, and we're going to come back and fill it in at the end of the week when we do area. Right now, the third tab of your foldable should have the circumference definition and picture written and drawn in the top part on the inside. Now we're going to use the formula in order to learn how to find the actual circumference of a circle. So the circumference of a circle can be found by multiplying 2 pi r. Go ahead and write that formula in the bottom part of that circumference tab. Before we go on to using the formula, let's quickly review what pi is. So yes, pi is something that's really great to eat. However, pi in terms of mathematics is the symbol for the number 3.14. There are a lot of other digits after this, but in terms of what we use this year in math, we use the number 3.14 to represent pi. So in order to find the circumference of this circle, I see in this circle I have a radius because it goes from the center of the circle to the outside, and my radius is 8. So in order to find the distance completely around the outside of the circle, I'm going to use the formula. C, my circumference, equals 2 times pi, which is 3.14, times r, which is my radius, and my radius is 8. So to find the circumference, all I need to do is plug in my numbers. And again, when all of the numbers or symbols are touching, that just means multiply. So I'm going to multiply 2 times 3.14 times 8, and I get C equals 50.24 centimeters. So the distance around that circle measures 50.24 centimeters. Be sure you have this example in your foldable right here under the formula. Now let's look at another example. What do you notice about this circle compared to our last circle? In this circle, we're not given a radius, we're given a diameter. This line is a diameter because it goes through the center of the circle and it touches both sides of the circle. So in order to find the circumference or the distance around the circle, I'm going to always start with my formula and write it out. C equals 2 pi r. I'm looking for C, so I'm going to keep that as my variable. So I'm going to multiply 2 times 3.14, which is pi, times the radius. But here, 14 is not my radius, 14 is my diameter. In order to figure out the radius given the diameter, all we have to do is cut the diameter in half. Because a radius is half of a diameter. From the center of the circle out to this side, that's a radius. From the center of the circle out to this side, that's a radius. So a diameter is made up of 2 radiuses. So if I divide 14 by 2, or I cut it in half, my radius is going to be 7. So this is a radius, and this would be 7. This would be a radius starting from the center and going up to this side is 7. Put together, we get the diameter of 14. Anytime you have a diameter, in order to get the radius, you divide by 2 because a radius is half of the diameter. So now when we multiply 2 times 3.14 times 7, we get a circumference of 43.96 inches. That is the distance around that circle. Be sure you have this example either on your foldable or in your notes before moving on. Now we're going to take a look at a slightly different problem. What is the length of the radius of a circle whose circumference is 56.52 feet? This one is different because it is giving us the circumference. It's telling us that of a circle, their circumference is 56.52. The question is asking for the length of the radius. Anytime in geometry that we have a problem with words, the first thing to do is draw a picture to represent the words. So I'm going to go ahead and draw a picture of a circle. It's talking about a radius, so I'm going to go ahead and draw my radius. Since I don't have a number for the radius, I'm going to go ahead and write r. Since I see circumference, I'm going to then write down my formula. C equals 2 pi r. From here with a formula, I can just plug in my numbers. Now though, instead of writing C, I know the circumference. The circumference is 56.52. So instead of writing the variable C, I'm going to write what it is. The circumference is 56.52 feet. Follow the formula. This circumference equals 2 times pi, 3.14, times r. I don't know what the radius is though, so I'm going to write r, I'm going to leave the variable there since I don't know what it is. Now I see on the right side that I can multiply these two numbers. So 56.52, the circumference, equals 2 times 3.14 is 6.28, and I'm going to drop down my r since I don't know it. From here, this is like a one-step equation. I want to get r by itself, so I'm going to divide by 6.28, the number that's attached to my variable. And when I divide that out, I get 9, or 9 feet, equals r. So I know that for this circle, the radius is going to be 9. Whenever you're given words for a problem, be sure to know which number represents which letter or which part of the circle. Now it's time for your practice. For each problem, you're going to find the circumference. For number 1, write your formula for circumference, plug in the numbers, and solve. All right, number 1, I'm going to first write my formula. C equals 2 times pi times the radius. I'm looking for the circumference, so I leave C. 2 times 3.14 times my radius. Hopefully you saw that the 12 is the diameter since it goes all the way through the center. I only want half of that. I only want the radius. So 12 divided by 2 is 6. So my radius for this circle is 6. Multiply everything out, and you should get 37.68 inches. Make any corrections before moving on to number 2. Find the circumference now for circle number 2. First step always is write your formula. C equals 2 pi r. C equals 2 times 3.14 times my radius, r. They give me the radius this time because this line only goes from the center of the circle to the outside. So the circumference of this circle is 25.12 inches. Let's find the circumference for circle number 3. Circumference equals 2 pi r. Circumference equals 2 times 3.14 times r. For number 3, I'm given the diameter. Again, since the line goes all the way through the circle, I only want the radius, which is half of the diameter. So 17 divided by 2. The diameter is going to be 8.5. I'm going to plug that in. The radius is going to be 8.5. Multiply that by 2 times 3.14, and we get circumference equals 53.38 centimeters. Go ahead now and find the circumference for circle number 4. So C equals 2 pi r. 2 times 3.14 times my radius, which is 6.5. Multiply straight across, and we get C equals 40.82 centimeters. Great job if you got all of those correct. Be sure you have corrected and fixed any mistakes that you made before moving on. All right, go ahead. This is our last basic one. Find the circumference for this circle. So my formula is C equals 2 pi r. So 2 times 3.14 times, I am not given my radius again here. The line goes all the way through. So I need to divide by 2, and my radius is 4.75. 4.75 is half of the diameter. I'm going to multiply that by 2 and by 3.14, and I get my circumference of 29.83 inches. All right, so next we're moving into the word problems. Go ahead and write your circumference, figure out which number you're given, plug it into the formula, and solve. So number 6 says a container has a circular lid with a circumference of 33 centimeters. What is the radius of the lid rounded to the nearest hundredths place? So I have this circular lid of a container. It's talking about a radius, but it's asking for what is the radius. Since I don't know that, I'm going to put my R. It's talking about circumference, so I'm going to write my formula. C equals 2 pi r. Here, though, I'm actually given the circumference is 33. So instead of writing C, I plug in 33 for their circumference. 2 times 3.14 times r, because I don't know my radius. I can go ahead and multiply 2 times 3.14, and I get 6.28 r. To get r by itself, I just divide both sides by 6.28. And I get r equals 5.254. However, the question asks to round to the nearest hundredths place. The hundredths place is 2 numbers after the decimal. So I don't want this 4. This 4 is going to make this 5 stay the same. So the radius of this container, the circular lid, is 5.25 centimeters. Now go ahead and solve problem number 7. So for number 7, I have a jar of peanut butter that has a circumference of 15.7. That's important. What is the diameter of the lid? So this is a little different because it's now asking for the diameter. If I have my peanut butter jar, this question is now asking for the line that goes through the center all the way across. So first, as always, since I've got circumference, I'm going to go ahead and write my formula, C equals 2 pi r. I'm given the circumference, so I'm going to plug that in for C, 15.7. This is going to equal 2 times 3.14 times the radius. I wasn't given the radius, so I'm going to leave that as r. I'm going to go ahead and multiply this 2 times 3.14, and I get 6.28, still times r. Divide both sides by 6.28 to get r by itself, and I get 2.5 equals r. Now in the past problem, we were done, but that's because the problem was asking for the radius. This problem, however, is asking to find the diameter. So think back, if I have a radius of 2.5, to get the rest, the diameter, if a radius is half a diameter, then in order to get the diameter giving the radius, I'm going to multiply by 2, because this side would also be 2.5. So 2.5 plus 2.5 gives me a diameter of 5, or 2.5 times 2 is 5. So the diameter of the lid is 5 units. Now solve number 8, the last problem for today. Always draw a picture to help represent the word problem. So this problem is talking about circle K has a diameter of 14, and I have another circle, circle L, who has a diameter of 9 meters. The question is asking for how much larger is the circumference of circle K. So first things first, I'm going to draw a picture to represent this problem. So circle K has a diameter of 14. Diameter is a line that goes all the way through the circle and through the center. Circle L looks to be smaller and only has a diameter of 9. I want to know how much larger the circumference of circle K is. In order to figure out how much larger, I first need to figure out the actual circumference of both circles. So C equals 2 pi r, write my formula. C equals 2 times 3.14 times r. If I'm given the radius of 14, in order to get I'm given the diameter of 14, to get the radius I divide that in half. 14 divided by 2 is 7. I'm going to multiply all of them together. So my circumference is 43.96 meters. Find the circumference of L. Again, C equals 2 pi r. C equals 2 times 3.14. Again, I'm given the diameter, so in order to get the radius, I divide 9 divided by 2, and I get 4.5. Multiply those three numbers together, and we get 28.26 meters. When it's asking for how much larger the circumference is, I need to subtract to find the difference between the circumference of K and the circumference of L. So 43.96 minus 28.26, and the difference is 15.7 meters. Circle K is bigger by 15.7 meters for its circumference. Alright, so great job today practicing with circumference. Here is your exit ticket. Solve questions 1, 2, 3, and enter the answers into the computer. Great job today.